professor at the University of Maryland and former chief economist at the U.S. International Trade Commission. Alex Brill is a research fellow at the American Enterprise Institute and former policy director for the House Ways and Means Committee. Fran Tarkenton is the CEO of Tarkenton Financial. All right, let's talk about these jobs number. Peter, I want to start with you. Is this good news?
Really not. It's more of the same. We're averaging 120, 130,000 jobs a month, barely enough to keep up with population growth. The decline was due to nearly 500,000 people leaving the labor force. That is not looking for work and not employed. That's not good news. That's just, giving up.
Exactly. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's actually sad. Let me show you some of these details here. Unemployment dropping to 8.6% from 9.0. 120,000 jobs added, as Peter just said. 315,000 people out of the labor force. What do you make of this, Fran? I mean, I look at these numbers and I think we've got to do better than this.
We got to do a lot better than this, but I think it's better than it's been, marginally so. But all we're doing is treading water with where we are. But I think there are a lot of trends going on, and I think the private sector is innovating and creating and generating more jobs. They generated all the jobs that we see there. The government lost a few jobs, and I have great hopes that we've got some good times ahead. Do we have tough clouds to still go against? We do. But I am positive on our direction. I'm positive on what small business and business America is doing. Not positive about what government's doing.
Well, government's a big question, as usual. As I was saying in the opening rant, they are a very big question. Alex, to you, big conversation over the payroll tax cut. And in fact, it failed twice. The Democrats' version, the Republicans' version have both failed. What do you make of a payroll tax cut? Is it a good way to grow the economy?
I think that it's not a good way. I think it's been in effect for a year now. It hasn't been shown to work. Similar attempts at putting cash in people's hands on a temporary basis was tried in 2001, 2008. Didn't work then. This is an expensive policy, one that's unlikely to result in a meaningful change in the economy. People are most likely to pocket this money to save it or pay down debt.
They don't
and
spend
at the end of the day, I think of this as what the goal should be is to create permanent employment, permanent new jobs, and that can't be achieved by a temporary tax change. We need tax reform, we need new tax policy, but we don't need temporary tax gimmicks.
Fran, the solution to this, according to Harry Reid, is to have wealthy people pay for this. That's his offset.
Yeah.
What impact would that have on jobs?
Terrible impact. And the difference between wealthy people, that 1%, Warren Buffett is a billionaire. The other people, the small business owners, $200,000, $300,000 a year, if you want to tax them even more, they're paying a full share of tax. They're not like Buffett and paying 17% tax, and he laughs about it. The core people that create the jobs in America, they're paying a full tax load, not 17%. We need tax reform now.
Well, I think that's an eloquent description of what needs to happen. Peter, I'm going to take you back to the jobs number for a minute. I saw some analysis of what it would take to get us back to 6% and a 6% unemployment rate. And essentially, you'd have to add 13 million jobs over 3 years and get GDP to 4% to 5%. Peter, how far away from that are we?
We're just as close as we are to Congress acting. If we took some real steps on the trade deficit and we started developing more domestic oil and gas, streamlined regulation. We need good regulation on Wall Street. We don't need mindless, endless climbing bureaucracy. And we finally did something about health care. Copy the German model. They have a private system. Those things are real. They're doable. But it takes a president that isn't always on the road coming up with yet another palliative that Harry Reid can attach a millionaire's tax to so the Republicans will vote no responsibly, and then the boss has got more talking points. I mean, what we have here is a campaign between elections. We don't have a government.
Well, I think that's well put. Alex, to you, we've got a lot of things that are out there that we haven't made decisions about. The payroll tax is only one of them. The AMT patch, alternative minimum tax patch, that's not been addressed yet. Lots of things out there that, they could go either way. Do you find, because you're an economist, that when there are those kinds of questions out there in the economy that people don't know how to plan for the future?
I think that's exactly right. We do have a lot of uncertainty from Washington. The payroll tax is one. That's the debate of the moment. Unemployment insurance extension is another one. And of course, looming over all of this is what's the plan for the larger deficit problem that we're facing? We're borrowing over $1 trillion a year. Super committee collapsed without any action. There are sequestrations pending. At the same time, debate about changing those sequestration rules. So there's a tremendous amount of uncertainty. There's a tremendous amount of political gamesmanship being played, and there's not a lot of discussion about fundamental changes. I think that the economy is in for a long road ahead in terms of the recovery. What we need is not a shot in the arm to kick the economy into higher gear, but we need sensible policies that are going to work over time to bring the economy up to full growth and bring, as you described, the employment rate down to where it should be.
Sensible policies out of this Congress, out of this White. Really? Okay. Fran, what would those sensible policies be? What do you want to see as a small business?
Here's what I would like to see. I'd like to see the government take a 12-month hiatus and just don't do anything for us. Just get out of the way and let us go and create jobs. We've got technology innovation. We've got energy innovation. We can become energy independent in a short time. We've got jobs sitting there waiting to go, and the government stands in the way of those jobs, as you well know. Just take a vacation.
Peter, first do no harm. Is that the way to go here?
Well, I think certainly if that means developing domestic oil and gas, we could be energy independent within 3 to 5 years, and we would create $500 billion in additional GDP and 500 million new jobs. That's simple.
Wow.
On top of that, if you cut the trade deficit with China in half, you're up to another 5 million jobs. We could get this done.
Alex, what's your prescription for economic recovery?
Well, I think the energy issues that Peter's describing are important ones, and I think not only about the jobs that are created in that sector in terms of jobs for oil and gas workers, but what really matters, the real opportunity, and I think Peter would agree, would be downstream. I mean, all the manufacturing jobs that can be created if we can have our energy prices under control. That's definitely a key piece of it.
It goes on and on. That's absolutely true. And Fran, we've already got a leg up on this. I mean, if you look at certain parts of the country in the West,
South Dakota, North Dakota, Texas, and how about that pipeline we could build from Canada down to the Gulf of Mexico, and that's 25,000 direct jobs and another 100,000 ancillary jobs. We've got them ready to go, but the government stands in the way and says no.
Can I tell you I feel better already, though, after this conversation? There's a way back. All right, Peter, Alex, Fran, thank you so much for being with me tonight. Really appreciate it.
All the best.
Thanks very much.
All right, thank you. Up next, I'll break down why today's jobs report is actually good for housing. And still to come, Herman Cain about to make a major announcement. Will this be the end of his presidential bid? That's coming up.